Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk to you about ambition. And not just ambition, but the theme of ambition in the novel and play of Macbeth by William Shakespeare. So, ambition in Macbeth is my title of my TED Talk today. And ambition, as defined by the dictionary, is a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. So, we all have our ambitions, we all have a place we want to get to, and it's like going up a staircase or some sort of ladder or something like that to get to our dreams and aspirations. In William Shakespeare's Macbeth, Lady Macbeth is overcome by her desire for power. This ambition is inhabited in Macbeth as she manipulates him to commit the murders that she cannot. She proves that women can be as ambitious and cruel as men can. However, she seems to have an exaggerated perception of how much evil she can actually handle. Just as ambition affects her more strongly than it does Macbeth before the crimes, so does guilt plague her more strongly afterwards. In the beginning of the play, Lady Macbeth is a character who personifies this theme of ambition. She's the one who first brings to light the idea of killing King Duncan in her own home so that Macbeth could become king himself. Along with this, it is she who pressures and manipulates him to commit this crime. She has no thought for right or wrong, only a lust for power. And in this quote, we can see that. Glamourest thou heart and cowder, and shalt be what thou art promised. Yet do I fear thy nature? Is it too full of the milk of human kindness, to catch the nearest way? Thou wouldst be great, art now without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. And this is from Act 1, Scene 5, lines 15 to 20. After receiving and reading a letter from her husband, which explains the witch's prophecy, Lady Macbeth's thoughts immediately turn to murder. Macbeth has ambition, but he doesn't have the nerve to see it through. Lucky for him, Lady Macbeth has enough drive to manipulate him to commit the murders that she cannot. The pivotal Act 5 scene, where Lady Macbeth frantically tries to wash imaginary bloodstains from her hands, is an eye-opening one, as she realizes that she laments her role in the murders of Duncan, Banquo, and Lady Macduff. Although she started off with such evil intentions, after the murders, she's driven insane with her guilt. And we can see that in this incredible quote from Shakespeare. Out, damn spot, out I say. 1, 2, why? Then 'tis time do it. Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie. A soldier and a feared. What need we fear who knows it, when none can call our power to account? Yet who would have thought the old man to have so much blood in him? And this is from Act 5, Scene 1, lines 30 to 34. While everyone believes that she is sick, it is really her guilt that causes her to lose her mind. She sleepwalks endlessly throughout the castle, desperately trying to wash away an invisible bloodstain that is on her conscience. This is the beginning of the descent into madness that ultimately leads Lady Macbeth to take her own life, as she cannot recover from her powerful feelings of guilt for the crime she played a part in. Lady Macbeth is ultimately unable to handle the horror that she has set into motion. While initially she seemed to know herself, by the end of the play it is clear that she had an exaggerated perception of how much evil her set could actually handle. She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools. The way to dusty death, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player, that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then he is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And this is from Act 5, Scene 5, lines 16 to 27. Her descent into madness ends where it began, with killing. Although it is not completely explicit, the play strongly suggests that she commits suicide. She wanted nothing more than to be queen, yet the means by which she attained it would not allow her to have any peace or enjoyment of it. Along with this, her death is catastrophic for Macbeth, as the love of his life has died. He no longer has motivation to take the throne, as he has lost all purpose in his life due to this uncontrollable ambition for power. Lady Macbeth is the character who most personifies this predominant theme of ambition to the highest extent. As mentioned, she manipulates and drives her husband to murder dozens. Although she does not do it herself, she plays a large role in these crimes, done solely for the purpose of power. She is driven by the Weird Sister's prophecy and is willing to do anything to become the queen. As analyzed in Shakespeare for students, critical interpretations of Shakespeare's plays and poetries by Anne Marie Hutch, Lady Macbeth exemplifies the strong will of ambition and what it drives one to do. Cunning and ambitious, without her, Macbeth might have never ventured down the murderous path that led to their ultimate downfalls. In Shakespeare for Students' critical interpretations of Shakespeare's plays and poetries, we can find a detailed analysis of Lady Macbeth and all that she personifies in this play. From her ambition to her guilt, this passage we see on somewhat summary of her actions and how this relates to all I have spoken about. So, Lady Macbeth is Macbeth's wife. She is cold, scheming, and ruthless. She coerces her husband into murdering Duncan, first chiding Macbeth for his reluctance. Shakespeare shows the audience from the beginning that this is a woman who knows her husband very well. She anticipates his reluctance to kill Duncan, and she plans for how she will pressure him into doing it anyways. She challenges his manliness so she can manipulate him, and unfortunately, she is his only advisor throughout the play. It is she who devises a plan to kill Duncan and frame the Chamberlains for the regicide, all the while keeping up her appearance as a lady of the castle. After the murder, however, Lady Macbeth is driven insane with guilt and commits suicide. She is ultimately unable to handle the horror that she has set into motion. So that quote is from that passage, and as I said, Lady Macbeth ultimately goes from having a strong ambition to become queen to being unable to handle her conscience after knowing what she had a part of doing. She quite literally had blood on her hands, as we can see Shakespeare integrated this figuratively into his Act 5, Scene 1 quote, where she urgently raced to remove this invisible bloodstain from her body. This shows her unbearable guilt as it plagued her mind and ultimately drove her to kill herself. Today, we see ambition as the feeling of wanting to do or to achieve something. Ambition constantly propels us to push beyond the limits of society and push through what they impose on us. While on the other hand, desire is the feeling of needing something and bringing about the darker side of achieving goals and desires. This feeling can be confused for ambition. Desire brings about ideas like lust and greed, and these issues are constantly affecting the way ambition drives us and the way desires aggressively push us. With the way society acts and expects us to act, behaviorally and mentally, the ways we see and use ambition and desire are constantly changing and molding right before our eyes. Society's heavy impact on our path to achievements are modeled perfectly in Macbeth, showing how what happens around us will always affect people. In my life, I will see ambition in all of my peers. In our current situations of the stressful university applications, we're all thinking about what we want to do with our futures. It is important to us that we do something with our lives, and our ambitions are what lead us to have these goals. Although our ambitions are what drive us to work hard, the desire that I spoke about above leads us to become selfish without knowing what we're doing. Our lust to get somewhere drives us to do potentially horrible things to our friends and peers. In my personal experience, I can say that even though I would not wish to purposely hurt anyone or harm anyone, the idea of something getting in between me and what I lust after would anger me, and I would do whatever it takes to make sure I come out victorious. Similarly, in Macbeth, we see ambition to become queen is what drives Lady Macbeth to do what she does. Although ambition is a good quality of a hard worker, it can potentially destroy us. If we do not control our desires, then we will begin to do things that we will regret in the future to fulfill our goals. If we become selfish and greedy, then it will take a toll on the way we act and react to things around us. As long as our ambitions are controlled and are in reasonable grasps, we can succeed in what we desire without causing destruction to those around us. If we do lose our perspectives, we will turn out just as Lady Macbeth did, with guilt that will consume us. We do not want this consuming feeling to overtake us, and for that reason our ambitions must be in our grasp. To work hard for something we wish for is to show determination. But when we take these desires too far, they will lead to our downfalls. How far will you take your ambitions? Thank you.